If I told you that the popular video game company Nintendo started 25 years before World War One, would you believe me? What if I told you that Nintendo didn't even begin producing video games until almost 100 years after their conception? In this speech, I'd like to go over the history of Nintendo as a company, the history of Nintendo's most popular gaming consoles, and how Nintendo games have heavily influenced pop culture. As listed on the BBC website, Nintendo began as a toy-making company in the year 1889, exactly 25 years before the launch of World War One. Started in the city of Kyoto, Japan, by businessman and crafter Fusajiro Yamauchi, Nintendo was known for designing brightly colored playing cards. The cards, known as Hanafuda, or flower cards, were beautifully decorated and handmade by Yamauchi himself. What Yamauchi didn't know, though, and would probably never know, was that his card shop would grow into one of the biggest and most influential gaming companies in the world almost a century later. In the year 1980, a groundbreaking game was developed by Nintendo artist Shigeru Miyamoto. You may recognize Miyamoto's name if you've ever played a Mario Brothers game or his first game he ever created, Donkey Kong. The villain of Donkey Kong is a giant gorilla with an inexhaustible supply of barrels, while the hero is a man in a red suit wearing a little red hat. He was known as Jumpman at the time of Donkey Kong's publishing, but his name was later changed to one we all know and love, Mario. Soon after Donkey Kong, Nintendo would begin publishing games on their home consoles and handheld gaming devices, leading me into my next topic, the history of Nintendo devices. From the original Nintendo Entertainment System to the wildly popular Switch, Nintendo has released over a dozen video game consoles and handhelds. Each one of Nintendo's systems has been focused on innovative technology and family fun, although some have been much more successful than others. The first Nintendo console to reach worldwide popularity was the Famicom, or Family Computer, better known overseas as the Nintendo Entertainment System, released in 1983. After the NES blew up in popularity, Nintendo followed that up with the Gameboy, a handheld system that rivaled the power of the NES. It also had the added popularity of being portable, so many school children could play it on the bus, during recess at school, or even during lunch with their friends. According to Business Insider, the Game Boy had sold over 120 million units during its lifetime. Other Nintendo consoles and handheld devices came and went, such as the Game & Watch system or the Nintendo Switch. But my personal favorite is the Nintendo 3DS. I've owned at least 10 Nintendo 3DS devices since their early release in 2011. And my favorite game to play on my 3DS is Pokemon. I've played every single Pokemon game. But that leads me into my next topic, how Nintendo games have influenced pop culture. To say Pokemon was Nintendo's biggest hit since Mario would be an understatement. Since its inception on February 27, 1996, almost 25 years ago, Pokemon has grossed over $92 billion according to TitleMax, with almost every household in Japan, the US, South Korea, and China owning some sort of Pokemon memorabilia. You remember the craze that was Pokemon Go back in 2016? That alone doubled the profits of Pokemon. And chances are, if I ask you to name just one Pokemon off the top of your head, your response would immediately be Pikachu. Pikachu became one of the most recognizable media mascots after the popularity of the Pokemon anime, card game, and video games in the late 90s, early 2000s. So, in conclusion, Nintendo had very humble beginnings, starting off as a card shop, but blew up into one of the largest media conglomerates in the world. Its history goes back all the way to before the First World War, and its consoles have become household items. Even its most popular IP has become so recognizable that it's hard for me to imagine a world without Pokemon. So next time you pick up a controller or your handheld gaming device, consider that Nintendo was part of the reason video games are so popular today.